Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the 3 things that you have to do before you start hanging drywall in your custom home. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to give you a tip that's going to save you hassle years to come. So stay tuned. All right, everybody. So, hey, before we get into the 3 things you have to do before you start hanging drywall in a custom home, let me just tell everybody, our channel is all about building a custom home. So we are a custom home builder based here in Colorado Springs. We build all over the state of Colorado. But with that said, the information that we put out and the content that we provide to you, that's going to help you no matter where you're looking to build a custom home. Of course, things vary across the country, but overall, the process is very, very similar, and the things you want to make sure you look out for and the mistakes you want to avoid are going to be the same no matter where you're at. So if that's helpful information, maybe you're thinking about building a custom home, maybe you're just trying to decide if it might be the right answer, hey, take the time, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell so you get all the notifications. We're going to start posting the content every week, so we're just trying to get as much information out there so you guys can make the best decision possible if you're thinking about building a custom home. And like I said, if you are in the state of Colorado looking to build a custom home, we'd love the opportunity to talk to you to see if we could help you out. All right, so let's get into it. So like I said, we're gonna cover 3 things today that you need to do before you start hanging drywall in a custom home. And what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna walk through this house with you that's right before drywall, getting ready to go to that stage. I'm gonna walk through with you and I'm gonna tell you as we look around the things that you need to be considering. All right, everybody, so we're gonna walk into this house. Like I said, we're gonna go through these 3 things, but I just thought it'd be easier or better just to show you guys what it actually looks like on site versus just listening to me talk about it and looking at my face. So whenever we come in the house, you're probably seeing a lot of blue circles, red circles, all kinds of circles and lines on the floor. So that goes to the first point. The first thing you wanna make sure you do is you wanna make sure that you check all of your rough-ins. So that means all of your electrical, HVAC, and plumbing. You want to make sure that it's all in the right spot. It's a whole lot easier to change it now than when it's after you get drywall up. And the builder's going to be checking the stuff on the blueprints, but you as an owner, you want to make sure that you do a walkthrough with your builder. Every good custom builder is going to do this. They're going to do a walkthrough with you to make sure that all the rough-ins are in the right spot. And us as homeowners, our main concern really is usually the electrical. Sometimes the plumbing stuff, the HVAC, we really don't know too much about, and we kind of trust that they put that stuff in the right spot. But you want to make sure that you have outlets where you want them. You want to make sure if you have any low voltage stuff, maybe some surround sound speakers, something like that. You want to make sure that all that stuff is exactly where you want it to make sure that, like I said, if you're going to make a change, do it now versus once you get the drywall up. It's a whole lot harder and a whole lot more expensive. So what are these blue circles and red circles you see on the floor? So I know a lot of builders do this. We think it's critical. We mark every single light and electrical outlet, low voltage, whatever it might be. We mark that on the floor so that once drywall does get hung, because hey, accidents happen, right? So sometimes drywallers, they're getting in a hurry and they cover up some stuff that we don't want covered up. You might say, hey, where's my light switch for this bedroom? And it's not there. Well, the drywallers covered it up. But if you mark everything out on the floor ahead of time, you're going to be sure that even if the drywall's up and there's something there that's on the floor that you don't see on the wall, you know that something got covered up. So the red, typically we're talking about outlets or switches on the wall. You can see we've got some measurements on there that tell you how far up it is. And then all these blue circles, what we do is we shoot a laser down from the ceiling from exactly where those lights are. And I'm going to show you here. We've got some can lights up top and some pendant lights as well. So those blue boxes are going to be pendant lights. We've got some other wires up there. Those are going to be can lights. And we mark those on the floor to make sure that if anything on the ceiling gets covered up, we know exactly where it's going to be. So like I said, we shoot those with a laser directly from where the fixture is going to be down to the floor. And like I said, that way if any of those lights get covered up, we know that we have everything marked. So we're going to be able to find it without cutting out a whole bunch of drywall after the fact. So number 1, make sure that you do your walkthrough. All of your rough-ins are in the right spot. You have all of your TV, surround sound, outlets, whatever it is, wherever it's supposed to be, make sure it's in the right spot. And also, a lot of times, this is the time to add it, right? If there's something you're like, oh man, I really wish I would have put XYZ in this spot, now's the time to try to add it versus after everything's drywalled. So number 1, double check your rough-ins. The second thing is double check your layout. I know that sounds silly. You're thinking, well, they've got blueprints. Obviously, everything got framed right. And it probably did get framed per the blueprint, but if you're building a true custom home, i.e. the first time the home's ever been built, sometimes there's things you don't notice on a blueprint, or the designer doesn't, the architect doesn't, and maybe the builder doesn't. But whenever you do a walkthrough, sometimes you'll notice. Let's kind of take a step back here. There's no problem with this doorway right here, but it's just a good example, because doorways are often these problems that look good on paper, but once you get into the house, it just doesn't make any sense. So you might walk through a doorway. I'm going to turn around here so you guys can see this a little bit better. Obviously, we're in a bathroom right now. You saw the tub there. So you might walk through the doorway and say, oh man, like when that door opens, the only spot I'm going to put my towel bar is right there on the wall. And this little space right here maybe isn't enough from the wall to the edge of the door jamb. Maybe that's not enough. So when you put your towel bar here, you open your door and every day your door's banging into your towel bar. Obviously, that's not a good thing. So just double checking the flow and the layout is really, really critical. You want to make sure that all the doors are swinging the right way, that, you know, whenever you laid it out on the blueprint, that you didn't change your mind about anything. You want to make sure that all the spaces, kind of the, like I said, the flow, the space to go through rooms, the hallways, the closets, just that everything still flows well and nothing got cut off or just feels real narrow. There's nothing worse than walking into your house once they set the kitchen island and all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, like there's hardly any room here between the stove and the island, or whatever the case may be. Now, obviously there's a lot of codes associated with it. So whenever your local municipality signs off on your building plans, if that's the case, you have to do that. Typically there's a lot of stuff that they look at to make sure that nothing gets missed, but just in case, it's always good. Walk through the house. You're going to be the ones living there. So walk through the house and make sure that the flow works for you, that all the doors make sense the way they're going. Make sure that there's no walls that really just impede your flow around the house. So flow and layout, that's the second thing. And then the third thing that you always want to check for, this is somewhat of a minor thing, but a lot of people don't think about it, is backing. So what I mean by backing, let's go over here to the kitchen. So you see these 2x4s that are nailed across right here. So a lot of the times what we want to do, it depends on how much cabinetry there is or things of that nature, but you want to make sure that you have solid backing to secure anything you want to mount to the wall. So especially in kitchens, like we might throw up some more backing in here just to make sure that the cabinet guys have plenty of areas to screw the cabinets into. So you're not trying to find exactly where the studs are, or maybe you've got a narrow cabinet that just falls between the studs. So we'll add a lot of backing where cabinetry is. Another spot to really keep an eye on that is curtains. It seems like curtains and curtain rods have got a lot heavier over the years. So if it's not a solid header like this is, the solid wood you see up above right there, if it's not solid like that, we'll go in and we'll add backing up there, add in some 2x4, 2x6 blocking to make sure that whenever you hang your curtain rods, that you have plenty of, I guess, if you will, structural support for the curtain rods or whatever it is you're going to be hanging. So cabinetry, curtain rods, and then you may have guessed this one is TVs. Like TVs are getting bigger and bigger. Now this wall happens to be sheeted solid with OSB, so there's plenty of spots to anchor things to. But wherever the TV is going to go, you can see we have some electrical stuff up there for a TV. So wherever the TV is going to go, you want to make sure that you have a lot of backing for that as well, just to make sure you can get it centered and placed exactly where you want. So backing for cabinetry, for curtains, TV, and really anything else that you think you might want to mount on the wall. Those are the things that you want to make sure that you get backing up for before you go to drywall. Again, once it's drywalled, you're kind of past that stage. So kitchens, bathrooms, and like I said, entertainment areas where you're going to put those TVs. So those are three things that you've definitely got to think about before the drywall goes up. It's just 1,000 times easier to do it before the drywall goes up instead of trying to do it afterwards. So hopefully that was helpful. Just a little bit of, like I said, just 3 ideas of things you really need to make sure you do before drywall goes up. Of course, there's a whole lot of other stuff that goes into it before drywall, right? But those are just 3 common things as you, as the owner, as you're walking through the house, you're doing the walkthrough with your builder before drywall goes up. Just make sure you've checked those 3 things. It's going to save you a lot of time and hassle. It's going to save the builder's probably going to do most of it because they're going to save themselves some hassle too with the blocking and things like that. But man, layout and then those electrical rough-ins and some of the plumbing stuff, just make sure you double check that and make sure it just feels right. Picture yourself in the house and make sure everything's where you need it to be. Like I said, a whole lot easier to do it now versus later. So now I said I've got one more tip that's going to make your life exponentially easier. down the road for years to come. And this is what it is: do a lot of video. So we used to do video walkthroughs of our houses, and I will say, hey, I've been in your shoes before. I've built a custom home myself. So a lot of these tips and tricks are kind of learned from my personal experience with my wife and I building our house. But video your house at this stage. Down the road, if you want to add an electric outlet somewhere, or you want to do XYZ, and you need to have an electrician come in, if you have a video and you can say, hey, yeah, there's an outlet right here, or there's a main line, there's a trunk line running through this area, whatever it is, you can tap into those things if you know where they're at potentially, versus just kind of hoping for the best. Or if you want to change something down the road, maybe 10 years down the road, you want to move a wall, you want to see what's inside that wall. Or as an example, we've had this happen where we had a water leak that showed up not too long after drywall went up, and we realized, oh, there was a line for one of the air conditioning unit that was in the attic, and the drywaller said hit it with a nail, that condensation was leaking out, and it caused a water issue. But because we had the video and knew exactly what everything looked like before drywall, we knew exactly where to cut the drywall, exactly what to do to fix it. So definitely do video before they put the drywall up. It's going to help you down the road a ton, whether you're adding things, changing things, taking things out, whatever it is. And with that, one thing that we do that I'm sure there's other builders that do this, but I don't know of any personally, is we do a 360 tour. So we use a system called Matterport. There's a lot of other systems that do a similar thing. But what it does, it essentially creates a 3D walkthrough of your house. So it's you pop it up on your computer, you open the file, and you can use your mouse to walk yourself through the house. And it's just like you're walking through the house in real time, but you can zoom in, you can do measurements. So all that data is yours to have. You get a file of it whenever you close on your house. So in the future, if you ever want to do anything, man, you don't even have to try to fast forward or back up or figure out where the heck you are in the house when you're looking through your video that you did on your smartphone. You actually have a 3D tour of the house that you can walk through with your mouse and see exactly where everything is. Like I said, you can do measurements off of it. So super handy tool. Our clients have really, really loved that. So I definitely recommend before they hang drywall, make sure you do a video. And don't forget the basement, don't forget the upstairs, whatever it is, the garage, do the entire house, all the interior before they stick up any drywall. Hopefully it was helpful for you guys. Like I said, if you're thinking about building a custom home, definitely take the time, subscribe to our channel. We're going to be posting lots of great content for you. And if you're here in the Colorado area and you might be interested in a custom home, definitely, hey, reach out, call, text, email, whatever is easiest for you. We'd love to be a resource to help you out. Take care.